why innovation is so hard. And just to put some context to innovation and then the situation that we're in now with the global pandemic, as we go into the, where we are now and through the next 1 to 2 years, either into a recession or, there's still some picking a depression, what we do know that happens out of those times is fundamental change. So if we look at the last recession, what came out is a whole lot of growth in technology and automation in regards to getting efficiencies out of our operations and our organizations. There was a lot of pivoting of services to new opportunities. There were a lot of new disruptive models that came through. So the social media generation, the platform generation in terms of Uber, Airbnb, things like that. So we had some fundamental shifts in our business models, and all of those were responding to consumer preferences and how they had changed. And I think the big opportunity for innovation and why this is so important for your industry as well is that through this global pandemic, we are seeing real-time, exceptionally fast shifts in consumer preferences, and it is now your job to respond to those, and for those very savvy organizations and leaders that we have out there in your industry, not just to respond, but that your business will thrive and become strongest through those changes. So that's the context. Why is innovation so hard? Essentially because it involves change, like a lot of change. And it's about disrupting and uprooting how we've become quite comfortable with doing things into a whole new way of doing things. And that is just simply hard to do. It's hard to do that when we're running our businesses, and we don't have enough resources already. We don't have enough time in the day. And also we've got obligations to family and all sorts of other things as well. So change is one. The second is complexity. If you go back, 10 or 20 years, while we were going through a lot of change in terms of new technology, it's actually nothing compared to what we're seeing now. So over the last decade, there's been some bigger movements in cloud computing and in mobile mobility services and applications in regards to social networking. So they're some of the big shifts we've seen come through. If you look to the next decade, there's a plethora of technology coming through. So artificial intelligence, machine learning, robotics, drones. We've got a whole lot of new biotech coming through that will influence us in terms of our health, and we'll be able to 3D print hearts and organs. And then, of course, we've got a whole lot of innovation in the alternative protein space, like growing meat in labs and growing milk in labs and things like that. So the plethora of change is about to get a lot bigger. With that brings immense opportunity, which we'll come to later. But that also adds to the complexity of this change. And if you haven't been able to keep up with the change so far, it's going to be quite hard for you to be able to jump on this next level of change. So we'll talk about some ways that you might be able to do that. And the other challenge that we have is that our market in New Zealand is not particularly connected with each other. And so we've got quite a vibrant tech startup community. Callaghan works with around 3,500, 4,000 businesses that are doing a lot of innovation using new technology like drones and all the sorts of things that I talked about. But what we don't have is really good connectivity between those businesses and our established businesses and our big corporates. And part of what we're trying to do at Callaghan Innovation is to build that connectivity. So if you can start to see in the construction sector, for example, where the innovation and technology is going, where the leading edge businesses are, then you can start to see where the market's going and then how you might be able to connect to those. We have stood up a platform called ScaleUp.New Zealand, which is about giving you that exact visibility. So it's a free platform. You can go on that now. We've got about 1,500 tech companies in there, and you can search by construction and you can see where the innovative companies are, what technology they're using, You can see where the investors are coming from in terms of investing in that industry, and you can see where the links to multinational corporates who are playing in that space as well are. So we're trying to get that connectivity through for you, rather than you having to do it all yourself, because that's quite hard work. So I think I might just leave it there for kind of the opening introduction on why innovation is so hard.